Ethnography Museum is well known not only among Mongolian community in Sweden, but also in Mongolia, as the museum curates various Mongolia-related items and artifacts in the collections. About the artifacts that are currently curated and housed at the World Culture Museum. How many items, types, varieties, how and when they were brought to Sweden?
So the Museum of Ethnography, which is part of the Museums of World Culture in Sweden, houses one of the more significant collections of Mongolian objects in Sweden. Most of these objects were collected through Sven Hedin, who led 3 expeditions to Central Asia between 1893 and 1909. So in all, there are about 2,000 objects from Mongolia as well as Inner Mongolia, and over 100 photographs. Now, we are still in the process of digitizing the photographs, so there may be more to come in the future. There are also 22 old films that were taken during Sven Hedin's expeditions in Mongolia. There's also the Museum of Far Eastern Antiquities, which is also part of the National Museums of World Culture. Most of the Mongolian objects there are archaeological in nature, and they were mostly collected by Johan Gunnar Andersson, who was mainly excavating in China, as well as from Folke Barman, who was also an archaeologist working together also with Sven Hedin. So at the Museum of Far Eastern Antiquities, there are about 9,000 objects from mostly Inner Mongolia, as well as about 350 photographs. And again, these are mostly archaeological in nature, so they include stone tools, pottery fragments, etc.
In your opinion, what are the most valuable artifacts?
It's hard to say which is the most valuable artifact in the collection because, to be honest, there are so many significant objects. I would say the collections as a whole and their history is very important because it's also about the relationships between Sweden and Mongolia. But perhaps a lot of the religious material might be considered also to be very culturally valuable because in Mongolia, obviously, a lot of the religious culture was lost during communist times.
Thank you. What would your vision for the Mongolia and Sweden cooperation between museums be?
The collections from Mongolia are some of the richest collections from any one geographical location we have within the Museums of World Culture and the Museum of Ethnography. So I think there is still a lot of potential for different types of studies and work to be done with the collections. I think through the scientific, cultural, historical research, we can build stronger bridges between Sweden and Mongolia, and the Mongolian population within Sweden is relatively large. So I hope, especially with the younger people, it can also help to build more of an identity, and for the younger people to remember their history and culture through work with the collections.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
За окей.